While reading a text, you might have noticed that there are different forms in which the author tells you something. So either they could say it in a narrative point of view. For instance, they could start with I was going through a bad time during that period of my life, etc., etc. Or they could be directly telling you must always remember to ... whatever they want to say. Or they could be talking about someone from a third person point of view. So they could be saying, Mr. Stanley was a very disciplined man. He always did his work on time. So all of these ways or modes in which we could tell something or write something are called points of view. Now, points of view are really helpful in showing the inner thoughts and feelings of the characters that we want to talk about, or even how we are feeling from the author's point of view. So let's look at them one in turn. The first that we have is the first person point of view. Now that includes the uses of pronouns such as I and we. So if I have a passage that mainly uses the first person point of view, that would go like, I was shocked. I was shocked. I did not expect that to happen. So here, the use of I is giving me the effect that it is something that was personal. It was a personal opinion, personal feeling and emotion that the author or the character was going through during that time. Now that is helpful because it gives me a direct insight into what the author or the writer or the character was experiencing. So using the first person point of view can be helpful if you want to do that as a writer. If you want to express the personal inner thoughts and feelings of someone, then you could use the first person point of view. The second person point of view makes use of the pronoun you. So this has its own strength. So let's say you have something like, you should never trust someone with, so here you can have, you should never trust someone who is too eager to help you. You should never hide what you feel you cannot. You should never lie to cover up another lie. So using the word you here or using the second person point of view can have a direct impact by immediately engaging you as a reader. If I directly see a passage which has you, which is directed to me as a reader, then I am directly engrossed, I am directly engaged in what is being told, because that is something we call direct address. So this is an important technique that many writers use. So if you can figure out what point of view that is being used in a reading comprehension passage, then you can try to figure out how the author wants you to feel. Now you can also use the third person point of view, in which you use third person pronouns like he, she, it, they, or directly the name of the character or the thing that you're talking about. So like we said before, if I have the sentence, Mr. Stanley was very disciplined, Here I can have he was never late to work. So you can see that I've used directly the name and I've used the third person pronoun he. So all of that is telling me something from a third person point of view, where I am not using I or we or you. Instead, I am talking about it in terms of someone who is outside the story. So here again, it is giving me its own feel. If you have a text and if you need to find out what point of view that it is being written from, that will help you understand from what angle the story is being taken. And that is really helpful because if you have the context, imagine that you have a story and it's being written from the main character's point of view. The main character is the one who's narrating the story. Then it'll help you understand what the inner thoughts and feelings and experiences of the main character was. However, if it's written from a third person point of view, then you don't directly get an idea of what is going on in the mind of the main character because you're always stating it from a third person point of view. Perhaps that is important in certain cases, perhaps that is used deliberately so that you are left in suspense as to what the main character is thinking. But there are many ways in which you can use point of view to make your writing more effective. So the next time you read a passage or any text, Make sure that you understand why the author, you try to figure out why the author used a particular point of view.